I knew this would be my final service, so the idea of rituals and cycles seemed somehow appropriate. We all go through life, each with our own set of personal rituals. This time of year, of course, the big ritual is graduations, with elaborate parties planned and senior trips, endless stream of students dressed in ancient garb, walking across a stage to receive diplomas. The whole culture of ritual has had to be modified, of course, this year because of COVID-19. And as I read in the Erie Times News, some classes are graduating in a drive-in theater down south, with the ceremony projected, I guess. Many of the schools around here are graduating online, and you'll have to ask this year's UU Erie graduates, Hannah, Sigrid, and Danae, about their rituals they went through this year for graduation. And graduations, like goodbye sermons, are rituals of departure. We are getting off the carousel, and my being part of the congregation is being converted from a continuing cycle to a memory. The flower communion ritual is a way of reflecting on the community. And so today, let us celebrate flowers and recognize that we are indeed captive on a carousel of time. For our opening meditation, I have a recording of Circle Game. This is a fan video that was made with lyrics and some images added. And for some of you old folks, you will remember Joni Mitchell singing it and be able to sing the lyrics from memory. But for others, it may be new. In fact, it probably is new. So we begin with Joni Mitchell singing Circle Game. Share, share, share.
Yesterday a child came out to wonder, caught a dragonfly inside a jar, fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle again. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle again. 60 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to car wheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet too slow, the circles down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle again. So the years spin by, and now the boy is 20. Though his dreams have lost some grandeur coming true, there'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams, and plenty before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle again, and go round and round and round in the circle again.
For the next part of our service, members of the service team will be sharing a number of readings, exploring community, how we gather, who we are, and what we do in this thing called congregation. The first reading is from Coleman Barks, a writer who interprets the Sufi poet Rumi for non-Muslim audiences. This is his translation. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, yet again, come, come. Pat? Is Pat there? There should be Pat and his saxophone. No? Nanci? Boop.
Okay, start. Sorry.
This next reading is written by Max Kutz, a very beloved Unitarian minister and poet. It's called Let Us Give Thanks.
Let us give thanks for a bounty of people.
For children who are our planting, and though they grow like seeds and the wind too soon blows them away, may they forgive us our cultivation and fondly remember where their roots are.
Let us give thanks for generous friends with hearts and smiles as bright as their blossoms.
For feisty friends as tart as apples.
For continuous friends who, like scallions and cucumbers, keep reminding us that we've had them.
For crotchety friends as sour as rhubarb and as indestructible.
For handsome friends who are as gorgeous as eggplants and as elegant as a row of corn, and the others as plain as potatoes and as good for you.
For funny friends who are as silly as Brussels sprouts and as amusing as Jerusalem artichokes, and serious friends as complex as cauliflowers and as intricate as onions.
For friends as unpretentious as cabbages, as subtle as summer squash, as persistent as parsley, as delightful as dill, as endless as zucchini, and who, like parsnips, can be counted on to see you throughout the winter.
For old friends nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on as fast as radishes.
For loving friends who wind around us like tendrils and hold us despite our blights, wilts, and withering.
And finally, for those friends now gone like gardens past that have been harvested, but who fed us in their times that we might have life thereafter.
For all these, we give thanks.
Amen.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Next is a reading from your hymnal, number 658, called The Risk. Most of you, of course, don't have the words in front of you. And since you don't have the words, and thoughts that will be expressed here are very deep, Garrett and I, as we read it, will kind of pause for a second or two between each line so the listener can absorb the ideas being presented. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool.
To weep is to risk appearing sentimental.
To reach out for another is to risk exposing our true self.
To place our ideas, our dreams, before the crowd is to risk loss.
To love is to risk not being loved in return.
To hope is to risk despair.
To try is to risk failure.
To live is to risk dying.
needed it.
We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted.
We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid.
We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again.
We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone.
We need one another in the hour of success when we look for someone to share our triumphs.
We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again.
We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey.
And
All
our
our lives are in need, and others are in need of us. This is our time for joys and concerns. During the music, we invite everyone to type a few words using the chat box. You don't need to have a joy or sorrow. Simply type in a few words about how you're feeling. Please do not respond directly to anyone. It's our job to simply bear witness to each other's feelings. Thank you for sharing joys and concerns. There were a few interesting ones that I loved. I got nothing as usual. That's great. And sometimes having nothing as usual is great. A PhD was earned, Christy. Annette's with her daughter. A lot of people are happy about springtime and being home and coming home. And I'm happy for Miles Davis being played. So I think there's a lot to be thankful for. And thank you for entering those, and we share your concerns in our hearts.
We end our service today with this year's version of a ritual called flower ceremony or flower communion. Flower communion was created 98 years ago and is now a worldwide celebration of Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists. It comes from the most unexpected place, and New Jersey is perhaps the most expected part of the unusual origin of flower communion. Reverend Norbert Chapek came to Newark, New Jersey in 1914 during the First World War. He settled in what was as an ordained pastor for the first Slovak Baptist church there. Cities like Newark, New Jersey and Erie, Pennsylvania at the time had and still have small religious organizations serving immigrant groups. At Erie's One Table gatherings, we find leaders from many different religious traditions who worship in their own languages with their own liturgies. A century ago, there were many more of these and a greater diversity. Norbert Chapek left his Czech-speaking Baptist church during the First World War. After the Treaty of Versailles, the Austro-Hungarian Empire dissolved. For someone who was from what has become Czechoslovakia, the independence of the new nation called for personal change as well. In times of transition, we reflect and often change as people. Chapek and his wife Maya converted to Unitarianism because their children liked the local Unitarian Sunday school. And like many people who jump in, discover our faith, Norbert and Maya realized that they had become Unitarian without even knowing it. Drawn to their nation's new possibilities, they returned to Prague, Czechoslovakia, the new capital, as Unitarians, with the goal of founding a church there based on Unitarian principles. The new church they founded in their new nation was called Unitaria, It wasn't a new sort of Catholic church or a new sort of Baptist church. The local folks always kept thinking that it was like something they'd seen before, but it taught Unitarian ideals of justice, tolerance, and progress. Creating something new was always a risky proposal. Other religions were protective of their franchise, and a few centuries before, Bohemian Unitarians were put to death or exiled because of their faith. But now, when even the nation of Czechoslovakia was new, it was time to try something new. And they did, and the Unitarian movement grew. But how to celebrate this new faith? It was clear that the members needed each other, and it would be good to talk about how they needed each other. It was clear that people from all sorts of different religious backgrounds were invited to come and be part of this community. And it was clear that there was much diversity in the religious garden, which they were now planting and tending carefully. So they decided on a symbol of a bouquet of flowers, a spontaneous arrangement of many species and colors, in a flower ceremony using flowers brought by individual members, each person bringing their gifts, their whole selves, as it were, to the assembly. They worked together to teach and to learn, to care for and to mourn, to think and feel. The different flowers represent the diversity of gifts and talents. The assembled flowers would then be blessed by a prayer, and then the ushers would distribute the flowers, each person receiving one from someone else. They don't know who provided that beauty or to whom their flower would then provide beauty. Almost 100 years later, this simple ritual asks us to consider ourselves as gift givers. The beauty we contribute goes into a vase with those gifts from everyone else. And we each receive love, we each receive hope, we each receive comfort. Of course, this year we cannot use a physical vase. Instead, we're using pictures of flowers. We don't ask folks to line up either to receive flowers. That would violate our social distancing rules. But we still adapt and celebrate. We celebrate with the photos of flowers that you've sent in over the past 2 weeks. And a time of meditation on how this congregation, this community, is a gift to you. Of course, this will be my last ritual with you. Next week, I take away the beauty that you have given me and move to New Jersey. Like flowers, the individual beauty fades, but the intention endures. Now, Kelly Armour asked that when people send in pictures of their flowers, they might add well wishes to me, and I've included some of the excerpts in the slideshow that you're about to see. While the comments are directed at me, I want to invite you to think of others who will be getting off of the carousel, who will be leaving our community. Think about our graduates, like Hannah and Sigrid and Danae, and others who will be transitioning into new lives, and who just might not be with you next year. Recall their gifts as well and the years with them, and how the relationship changed over time. Let's appreciate the flowers for today as we view our bouquet presentation. Let's see if I can share the screen. Ooh. I have to stop this. I have to do a couple of things at once. Sorry about that. F5, stop. Boom. Okay. here we go. Share. Jackson is going to play some music while we do this. Is that screen 2 or is this screen 2? That's screen 2, share. Okay. Like the flowers that we've shared, our community is the thing of beauty. Each year we repeat this ritual in one way or another to remind ourselves of the loveliness in each of us, of the precious bouquet of community. We bring ourselves to this congregation as we are, as eggplants or rhubarb, sunflowers nodding or radishes suddenly appearing. Over the past 2 years, each of you have added flavor to the stew called UU, the UU Congregation of Erie. Sometimes sweet, sometimes bold. You then offered the combination to all who came through the door. It has been an honor to be your minister for these past 2 years. I have had many moments of unexpected joy, and I'm proud of our social responsibility work, our community service, our support for each other, and our creative and ever-improving worship. I am glad that our paths crossed for a while and that we risked and tried, held hands back when holding hands was a thing, and listened tenderly. I will miss you all and the place you call home. I hope you will find new ways to help the Erie community grow in love and awareness and in hope, and for you to help each other in times that are good and times that are bad. I look forward to reading about your success. Let's end our service by holding up and extinguishing our chalices. These are the words of Elizabeth Seeley Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now please unmute and ring your bells. Great. Please be seated for our postlude. Jackson.
Can you hear me? Test 1, 2. Not if you can you guys hear? Okay. Is it too loud or too quiet? Turn it up a little bit. Test 1, 2. Check. See.
I have to say may well be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for.
it's very hard to leave behind the life we knew. But there's no either way, and now it's really up to love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I really do? Have your eyes really seen? I got a second one for you guys really quick, because that's kind of a hard fall at the end of the service. So I thought I'd do something kind of fun. I was going to suggest it was Dr. John, but I am going to do some beatbox harmonica on the internet. Is that cool? Oh, shake your head no if it's not cool. Okay, it's cool. I saw two people. Okay, here we go. Is that too loud? Is that too loud? Okay.
Well, thank you, Jackson. Thank you, thank you. That was phenomenal. So I want to thank everybody, especially Reverend Charlie, for such a lovely service, and to thank Candace and Bryan and Jackson and Pat, our wonderful musicians, and our digital ushers, Michelle, Annette, Diane, Nanci, and we have a few announcements. John Daly King's memorial service will be Thursday, May 21st at Burton's. And Tom Schladecker, of course, is offering masks. Check the weekend news. There's some couple of virtual gatherings coming up. And anybody who's familiar with Zoom, just please contact uuerie.zoom, and we'll add you to the list of our digital ushers, and that way it gives I think we're getting to a place where we've got enough people that we can rotate so that you don't have to digitally ush every week. You can do it every other week or so. So
But I also wanted just to say thank you, Reverend Charlie. This was a beautiful thing. I loved your idea of the flower communion, and I feel like it's also the interesting, strange intimacy that Zoom brings us, unlike anything else. But it also what it gave us, that wonderful slideshow that you put together, gave us, although it did not give us the actual flowers and the smell of the flowers, it gave us a whole panoply of perspective, because you saw how people looked at their flowers and where they looked at their flowers. And so that was really, really, really lovely to think about it. We got to sort of be in everybody's shoes in a little bit by looking at the flowers that they took. But I wanted all of us to, hit, if you know how to go to the right upper, if you've got a computer, go to the upper right hand corner of your screen and click on gallery view so we can see everybody. And especially I want you to do this, Charlie, but I want us all to reach over to where we see Charlie, which is going to be a little bit different in everybody's screen, and just hold our hands over him and give him a nice blessing there. Yes, yes. We're sending blessings and thanks your way. Yes, yeah, yeah. Oh. So we're going to, as one person said, oh, wow. And we've got some announcements too. Lee Costis says our updated total for our pledge campaign is just over 117,000. So thank you, everybody. That's really, really wonderful news. Yes, we can all applaud for that. Somebody said, which I thought was wonderful, that her favorite part of the service is these little breakout rooms that we send people to, and it's just luck of the draw. We're randomly put into groupings, and she said it's like a gift, opening up a present every week. So stick around if you can for that. I'll get them going. There we go.